Hi, and welcome to episode 63 of the Noble Character Crafts podcast. My name is Amy, and I am coming to you from eastern Nebraska, where I live on a farm with my husband and our 5 children. Today is Friday, April 19th, 2019. Thank you so much for joining me. A huge welcome to any new or returning viewers. I really appreciate you joining me today, and I hope that you enjoy this episode. This is a podcast all about my crafty life, and today I have knitting, crocheting, and hand-dyed yarn to share with you all. You can find me online on Instagram and Etsy at Noble Character Crafts. You can find me on Ravelry at Noble Character, and I also have a group for this podcast on Ravelry under Noble Character Crafts Podcast. In that group, you will be able to find the show notes for this episode as well as previous episodes. You can also get in contact with me through my email at noblecharactercrafts@yahoo.com. And I will have links to all of the places that you can find me in the description box below. So thank you so much for joining me today. I am very excited to be with you all again today. I am, as you may be able to tell, in a different location a little bit for recording today, just because I'm recording a little bit earlier in the day than normal. So the sun is coming from the east still. I usually record in the afternoon, and the sun is up in or over on the west side of the house, and so I sit on the opposite side of this room from where I am right now normally, so that I have a little bit better lighting. I tried sitting where I normally was, but there was so much backlighting that it was not a good picture, so that's why I have just switched over to the other side of my bedroom. Sitting here, you are able to see the painting in the background, which I love, and that is a painting that my children painted. I just bought a blank canvas from Hobby Lobby, and then I also bought a gradient of watercolor that went from light gray to black, and I just gave all 5 of our children a paintbrush and let them go to town with painting splashes and crazy scribbles, and I just think it's beautiful. I've had it turned around in different directions before, like upside down from where it is right now, and it looks different depending on which way it hangs, and I just love it. I think it's beautiful. So I don't have any finished objects to share with you all this week, so I will just go right on into works in progress. My first work in progress is in my Tanny Casey bag that I love so much, and it has an enamel pin on here from Twill and Print. And in here is the BRIOCHEALUSCIOUS shawl by ANDREA MOWRY that I've been knitting for several weeks, a couple of months actually. And I am getting very, very close to having a finished object with this, and I'm so thrilled about that, but I'm also just so thrilled with how it is working up lately now that I have started using the DPN that I received last week. As I mentioned, I had received a wonderful surprise gift from one of the podcast viewers sending me a set of DPN so that I could complete this shawl a little bit more easily. I am just on the applied border of this, all tangled of course. Okay, I'm just doing the applied border on here, and as you can see, it's so close to the end. Look at that. I only have a little over 3 repeats of the brioche pattern along the border here, and I will be done. So I'm very confident that this will be finished by next week when I record another podcast, hopefully. And yeah, I'm so thrilled, but I've gotten to the point where I'm really enjoying working on this now. For a while, the applied border was just a slog, especially before I got the DPNs, and it just works up so much more easily with the DPN. So you can see this beautiful stitch marker from Amanda of Little Bitty Delights is marking where I was last week when I recorded, and I was just like at the halfway mark last week, and I've gotten all of this done this week. I'm so excited about that. I'm really surprised that I was able to get that much done, but as I said, using a DPN needle just makes such a world of difference. It has made the process so much more enjoyable, so much faster, and I'm just thrilled. I'm so thrilled with how this is looking. Oh, it's so great. I love this pattern so much, and I really like the colors that I chose. I think that the monochromatic color scheme is quite, you know, eye-catching, and I'm so excited about this. I used all my own hand-dyed yarn. So Noble Character Crafts yarn in 4 different colorways. I used my Bear Lambs colorway. I used the dark black color is called Night. And then this color right here is Insight. And this color is Silent. And almost all of that is on my Pitter Patter base, which is 75% superwash merino, 25% nylon, fingering weight. I do have a little bit of gold stellina on the Night colorway in here as well, but for the most part, it's on my Pitter Patter base. And this is going to be a gift for a lady that I go to church with. And boy, I am so excited about gifting this to her. But just look, it's gonna be so amazing. Oh, I think it's so wonderful. I'm really thinking that I'm going to maybe make this for myself as well, because it's going to be so hard to part with this, and I may even make it in the same color scheme because I think it's so pretty in this monochromatic color scheme. So anyway, I'm so thrilled that this has grown so much this last week, and yeah, I'm thrilled with it. Isn't it glorious? I just love it. Yeah, I'm so excited. I really am hopeful that she's going to love it. So super excited about that. Yeah, I might even be able to finish this tonight if I get a chance to work on it a little bit. We are going to a Good Friday church service tonight, so I might not get a lot of knitting time in tonight, but I'm pretty confident I'll at least finish it tomorrow, and I can't wait to get it blocked and see how much it grows and how beautiful it'll look. I suppose with the brioche, I won't want to aggressively block it. I think with brioche, you really don't want to stretch it very much, which I normally stretch my shawls out pretty aggressively, so I'll have to be careful with how I do that, I think. Make sure I don't stretch the brioche out too much, I think. Maybe, I'm not sure how I'll do that, but hopefully it'll block beautifully. I'm sure it will. My next work in progress is in this cute little sock-sized bag that I received in one of the Christmas Advent Calendar mini skein swaps that I did last Christmas. And in here are my socks I've been working on for a little while now. And let's see, I didn't get a lot of work done on these again this week, but that's okay. Obviously, a lot of my attention went into the BRIOCHEALUSCIOUS shawl, so that's okay. These are just for myself, and so there's no hurry in getting these done at all. I cast on 64 stitches. I did 20 rows of 3x1 ribbing, and I used my Pitter Patter base again for the cuff in the Deep Waters colorway. So again, that's Noble Character Crafts yarn. And then for the main body of the sock, I am using Knit Picks Felici in the Hawaiian shirt colorway. It is in the skein. I did one stripe repeat of seed stitch before I realized that that was going to make too loose of a fabric for socks. And so then I switched to a 3x1 ribbing for the remainder of the leg. I did a Eye of Partridge heel flap in a contrast mini skein that I also received in one of the Advent mini skein calendar swap things that I did last Christmas. I don't know who the dyer is of that. Unfortunately, I lost the information about that little mini skein I had. But anyway, here's a progress keeper from Million Dots, and that's marking where I was last week. So I've only done 3 stripes, which isn't very impressive, but I am done with the gusset decreases now, and so it is very mindless at this point. And yeah, so I just haven't had a lot of time to work on these. These are the project that I take with me whenever whenever I'm in the van traveling around. And again, we haven't traveled very much this week. Thankfully not because of flat tires again, but just because our schedule has been pretty low key this week. So anyway, I am using ChiaoGoo needles. All of my needles are ChiaoGoo needles, and I am using US 1 2.25 millimeter needles. I forgot to mention that in the BRIOCHEALUSCIOUS shawl, I am using US 4 3.5 millimeter needles. Yeah, so anyway, these are, they won't take too much longer before they'll be a finished object as well, but again, no hurry on these. Oh, I did just yesterday. This is the second time this has happened to me, and I know it's happened to other people, as I've heard in other people's podcasts, that one of the Felici skeins just changed. It had a knot in it. It had just run out, and they just tie on anything. They don't make any effort to continue the stripe pattern. So it was after I was almost done with this yellow stripe, and then there was a knot, and it was going to go back to the dark blue. Really? That's just ridiculous. I mean, if you're going to sell self-striping yarn, if you have a knot, you could at least just, I don't know. I know it's cheap commercial yarn, really, but I think that's just ridiculous. That if you buy self-striping yarn, you expect it to continue the striping pattern, even if there is a knot. So I did it myself. I just wound it off until the stripes were matching again. And I used the Russian join method again, using a really fine needle, since this is fingering weight yarn. And I just attached it so that then, now I'm just getting ready to switch to the light teal color here, and they'll still be matching. But that's just a little annoying. If you can't tell, I'm a little annoyed. Oh, I shouldn't complain. I mean, it is, like I said, very inexpensive, especially for self-striping yarn. But anyway, it's just a little pet peeve of mine, because I like my socks to match if possible. I just enjoy that. Anyway, those are coming along nicely. My last work in progress is being held in this big LL Bean tote bag. There's the labels for the yarn I'm using. Has my monogram on there. And it's working well to hold all of the yarn that I need for this project. This is the Grandmother's Flower Garden Quilt pattern, which is a free pattern on Ravelry by Jess Copham. And here is how it has grown. I'm really loving how this is looking. Last week I had shown you that I had made 2 hexagons. I was working on the third one, but I had mentioned that I wasn't happy with how the hexagons were working up. The original pattern uses a popcorn stitch that was not laying, the hexagons once completed were not laying very flat, and I was really unhappy with how they were looking. And so I reworked the 5th and 6th rounds of the motif so that it would lay a little bit flatter. I have details on my Ravelry page so that you can go check that out if you're interested. But instead of using a popcorn stitch, I just did a group of 6 double crochets instead. And then on the 6th round, I just worked a cluster into the middle of that group of 6 double crochet stitches. I also made a modification. Instead of only having 3 rounds of the border color, I added a 4th round. And I also think I am joining, I'm positive that I am joining the hexagons. I'm joining as I go, but I am doing it in a different manner than what the pattern calls for. I believe that the pattern only has you join maybe on the corners of each of the hexagons, and I join on every stitch by slip stitching into the stitch that's across from it. And I just really like how that gives it more of a seamless, more of a solid fabric, I guess. There's not as many holes when you do it that way. The reason why I decided to add a 4th round around the border was because I really love how the pattern, as you can see, once it's all pieced together like this, you can see that the background of all of the white stitches, they form their own pattern of hexagons. And when I only had 3 rounds, for some reason, maybe my gauge is a bit tighter than the original pattern, they just weren't looking right. They weren't looking like hexagons. They were too short. And so I decided to add that extra row just to make, I hope you can see it. I think it stands out pretty well, but see, you can see there's kind of a hexagon shape here that you can see. And I thought that that looked better that way. So the yarn I'm using is, I bought 2 Lion brand mandalas. which are a gradient of yarn. Maybe you can see here on the label, this is how it would work up if you just knit or crocheted it as a whole piece. So it's a, you know, a gradient type of yarn. And I got two different colorways. I got Troll, which has these colors. And then this one is called Chimera. And let's see, these are 100% acrylic. They are 150 gram cakes, and they're listed as a DK weight. And then the white yarn that I'm using is Bernat Baby Sport in the white colorway, and this is also 100% acrylic and also DK weight. I got two of these, but I don't think I'm confident I'm not gonna need the second skein, so I'll probably just end up taking that back. Anyway, the way that this pattern suggests it does suggest that you use a mandala, or also she suggests using a Lion Brand cupcake kind of yarn. But anyway, I just used two mandala cakes. The way that she suggests using the mandala cakes is to wind each of the colors that comes in the mandala into an individual ball, and then you have all of these different beautiful colors to work with to use in the blanket. So that's what I did. I got 23 different colorways within the mandalas, and then I'm also using the white color as part of the, you know, like in this one here, I've also used the white as part of the motif at times. So I'm trying to rotate all of those 24 different colors to, you know, have each hexagon be a different set of colors. I'm currently working on one more here. And so I just really love the different color combinations that you can put together. It's so much fun. Here you can see the 5th round that I've changed with the set of 6 double crochets instead of, and again, in the original pattern, there are 2 popcorn stitches in each chain 1 space from the previous round. I'm using an H hook, which is a 5mm hook for this pattern. And the original pattern shows that you would have it be, I think this, yeah, this would be the way that it would sit. So you would have, like, this would be the top of the blanket, and then it would be, this would be the shorter side here, and then this would be the length. But I'm actually turning it on its side so that this will be either the top or the bottom, and these will be the sides with the half hexagons. And I just like the looks of that better, to have the straight sides on the sides and then the top and the bottom having more of a scalloped edge. And I'm thinking of maybe even putting some tassels on the end of these 3 little points, maybe, if I can make them secure enough. This is going to be a baby blanket for my church's baby blanket ministry. So whenever a mom has a new baby at our church, we like to try to gift her a new baby blanket. And so this will just go into storage until a new baby is born in our church. And so anyway, this is about a little over halfway done right now. What I'm planning to do is repeat a row of this with 2 full hexagons and 2 half hexagons. And then also repeat a row of 3 full hexagons, so that it will be, you know, have 2 more rows basically added to it. And then I'll probably go around the edge with a simple border to finish it off. So I just think it's absolutely beautiful. I just love the fun, bright colors in it, and I am really enjoying working on this. It's so much fun to crochet. I'm really finding joy in crocheting lately because I have crocheted for many years, since I was in college, so it's getting close to 20 years that I have crocheted, and so it's very mindless for me to crochet. It doesn't take much thought. It's very relaxing, and I've just really been finding a lot of joy in working on this project. So those are all of the works in progress that I have to share with you. I am really getting excited because all 3 of these projects are pretty close to the end, and so I'm getting very excited about casting on a few new projects. I really enjoy hearing about what other people have planned for their upcoming projects, so I thought I would just mention what I'm planning on casting on next. I have 3 projects that I'm really excited about. The first is the 8th project from my Make 9 list that I will have made. The BRIOCHEALUSCIOUS shawl is my 7th project that will be completed from my Make 9 list. And then the 8th one is going to be my final one because I have changed my mind about the, I had a sweater on my Make 9 list that I have decided that I do not want to make. And anyway, the last project that I'm planning on making for my Make 9 list is the Stripified shawl by Stephen West. And I have a bag full of bits and pieces of yarn that is along the purple color scheme. And I'm just going to be using up lots of different bits and pieces of yarn and striping it into this beautiful pattern by Stephen West. I made the Doodler shawl by him last year, and I really, really enjoyed making that shawl. That was the first pattern that I had ever made by Stephen West, and I just really enjoyed it. So I'm excited to make another shawl designed by him. And purple is my favorite color, and so I'm really excited to use up all of my purple beautiful yarns. And then another project that I'm planning to make is a test knit that I'm planning to do for someone. So I think I'll be able to share with you more about that once I get started on that project. But I'm really excited about that. At least that's the plan right now, is to work on that. And that's going to be a garment using mohair. So I'm very excited about that. And I'm planning to do that in my Satisfied colorway, which is a deep dusty rose colored yarn. And then the third project that I'm excited about making next, I'll have to put the name of the pattern and the designer down below, but I'm super excited about this. This is a felted bag, and I just think it's absolutely beautiful. I'm so excited to try this out, and I think it will make a really cute project bag. And I think it's going to be really interesting to see how that works up. I'm planning to use Knit Picks Wool of the Andes worsted weight yarn for that because I have a ton of it in my stash. And I think the original pattern calls for bulky weight yarn, but I think I might hold 2 strands of that worsted weight together, or I don't know, I'll kind of play it by ear, but I'm planning on just making it work with worsted weight. And anyway, so those are the 3 projects that I am planning on making next, and I'm very excited about those. The last thing I have to share with you all is a set of yarn from my Etsy shop. Every time I record a podcast, I like to share a few yarns that I think work well together and that you could use for a project, just to give you an idea of which colorways work well together from my Etsy shop. And so this week I have this set of 3 that I really, really love this color combo. And here you can see, these are actually all 3 dyed on my carrying base, which is 100% non-superwash merino wool, and it's a worsted weight. This first colorway is blowing out a little bit. It is my Tranquil colorway, and it is just a very light tonal pink. And I really love it. The next one is called Thought, and it is a bare base that has really light brown speckles on it. It's just a really nice neutral color. And the third colorway is Enriched, and this is a tonal deep rusty orange color. And I just thought that those 3 looked really nice together. They would make a beautiful shawl, or, well, usually a shawl again is what I think of when I see 3 colors together, but I think those would make a really beautiful combo for a project. And again, all of my yarns are available, all of my colorways are available on all 9 of my bases in my Etsy shop at all times. So you can feel free to hop on over there if you're interested, and I have sweater quantities of each colorway available at all times. And so anything that you would be interested in, I'd be glad to help you out with if you would like to check out my shop. I would appreciate it so much. We are excited for Easter weekend. I always love this time of year. We did actually already do an Easter egg hunt with our children earlier this week because my mom and stepdad came by for a visit. They live in eastern Iowa, and so we don't get to see them a ton. So it was great to have them come and visit us for a few days. And while they were here, we did an Easter egg hunt because, well, we kind of have a tradition to do Easter egg hunt with my mom and stepdad when they come to visit around Easter time. So we did that, and that was a lot of fun. And anyway, then on actual Easter Sunday, I don't think we have a ton of plans. Of course, we'll go to church, but other than that, I think we're maybe just going to go out to eat for lunch. So anyway, we have had a really good week, though. The weather is just so gorgeous, and everything is really turning green around here, and the trees are budding, and there's little tiny flowers poking through the ground. Dandelions have started already coming out, and little, I don't know what the little tiny purple flowers are around here, but we're seeing little tiny flowers around. So that's always wonderful to see. And the birds are just crazy. We have 4 bird feeders outside of our windows, and we just love bird watching, and they are just, it's so wonderful to hear them. They are up so early. I usually get up at 5 o'clock in the morning because I like to have a few hours of quiet time before the kids wake up. Well, I don't always get a couple of hours, but I at least get a little bit of time before the kids wake up and we have to get going with breakfast and our homeschooling. And anyway, they're not quite up at 5, the birds, but shortly thereafter, they're already singing, and it's not even light out yet. And I just think it's wonderful. I've just really enjoyed hearing the birds lately and watching them. We've already seen a goldfinch, which I just love those birds so much, and it makes me excited when we see new birds pop up at our bird feeder that we don't see throughout the winter months. So anyway, we have had a lot of fun this week enjoying the nature, the beautiful weather outside. So anyway, I hope you all have had a great week as well, and I hope you all have a wonderful week ahead. Happy Easter to you all. And if you enjoyed this podcast, please feel free to give me a thumbs up. I would appreciate that so much. And also subscribe to this channel if you would like. I would appreciate that as well. Thanks so much for watching. Bye-bye.